All right, we've done the intro, right? You guys heard about me from somewhere and you've found it, so I don't need to do that. Hell yeah. All right, so apart from the intro, I'm not doing this scripted. So there's going to be times where I pause and I apologize for that, but I think it's going to be a good one. Or at least I got a lot to say and a lot of info to give you. So let's catch everybody up as quickly as I can because I don't want to spend too much time on something that isn't what the learning system is. So I'm going to change the education system. Who knew? I set the goal for 2 years ago. It was a 5-year goal, so I've got 3 years left, and I really think the goal, or the plan is getting so good that I actually think I'll be able to pull this off in 3 years' time. And that isn't just like me doing one. That is worldwide. I reckon I could do it. I reckon we could do it because I am going to need parents to get involved and really like this stuff. So, step one of changing the education system is start a learning system. And now I have, in the last 2 years, I've sort of pieced together using a bit of my background, a bit of my curiosity, a bit of, well, really deep research into this stuff and visiting places and alternatives. What I've come up with, I think, is a really good answer for what we've got. And over the last, couple of months, I've been really nailing down on how do we spread it out as quickly as possible. And I think I got some really good stuff for you. Okay, so I've only got my dot points. So I apologize if I screw up. I'll probably just pause for a while and reset, but you can play this on 1.5 times speed if you want. So 5-step plan. Step 1, start a learning system. Now I've done that. I'll explain what the learning system is a little bit later. Step 2 is make it self-sustaining. That's where I'm up to now. Step 3 is make it self-replicating. Step 4 is make it so that people can link up, and it's almost like affiliation / what's the other one? Franchise. So some weird mix of those two things. Step 5, I'm going to hang on to that, but it's a good one. You'll get it when it's needed. Okay, 5-step plan. Should I do the housekeeping? Tell you where to go for all the info? Yeah, let's do that. So, mostly Instagram. I do daily videos because I decided if I'm going to start a charity, I'm going to run one the way I want it to be run. And what I would like out of a charity, if I was going to give it money, is I want updates, man. Tell me what you're doing. So, every day I sit in front of this and I explain what I did. And over the last couple, I've sort of been throwing in what the learning system is going to be. But once I do this, then I can just refer back to this and then I don't have to spend my time doing that. But I try to keep it under 3 minutes for the Instagram stuff. And then that's it. That's just what I've done today to get this thing everywhere. Where else? YouTube will be this podcast. I'll also have everything on X because they supposedly don't delete things. Yeah, that one's, the handle is still FreePath Global, but it's my name and a photo of me. I think that's it for housekeeping. Yeah, cool. That'll do. Anyway, I might think of more. So what's in this podcast? I've done most of it, apart from telling you what the learning system is and like a more detailed version of the plan, of those steps, and a why me. I need to tell you who the hell I am. All right, I think I can do most of that off the cuff. So, why me? Let's catch you up a little bit on me. I had a weird education system myself. I moved around like every 3 years. My dad was like, in the RAF, so he moved around. Um, so I kept at the back after I, kept have to make friends for no reason, and it got harder. So I'm like, no, screw it. And then I just observed a lot. And then after leaving school, I had no idea what I wanted to do, and I'm like, well, that was a waste of time. So I chose out of smoke weed and to work at Target or join the army. I joined the army, though I did do some of that. It was a nice experience. Got some life experience developed, physically, mentally. And then when I left the army, I became a youth worker. And I was a youth worker for 5 years. And while I was a youth worker, I was studying to be a teacher. And then I thought I'd be able to do more good teaching. And then I decided to work at one of the sort of lower socioeconomic schools where they needed the most help, right? That was my mindset. It was good. Like, I definitely picked the right school. There was lots of kids to try to help, but it was too many kids. And I can only help the ones that are in front of me at any one time. So I left teaching. I became a correctional officer. And when I was a teacher, I had a son. And then while I was a correctional officer, he got to the age where we needed to figure out what we were doing as an education for him. My wife and I separated, so I was 50-50 with him and 50-50 at the correctional officer, as a correctional officer, because there were 12-hour shifts. I could just smash 7 days a week there, 7 days a week with him. I was looking through all the options. I hated them all. And then I bumped into a friend at it was a school holiday program. My kid was 4. It was just like something to do. He was in like kindy or preschool or whatever, like the very first one is. I'm like, I already don't like dropping him off. And I bumped into my friend. I'm like, hey man, like, how's the school holidays treating you? He's like, oh, changes nothing for me. I homeschool my kid. I'm like, ooh, tell me more. So I went down this rabbit hole. And then I had a lot of time. So every time he went off, I wanted to homeschool. His mum couldn't, so 2 different worlds. Anyway, so I went down this rabbit hole of like, how do I homeschool, or what is the best thing? There's too many problems. Homeschooling's hard. So how do we make it easy? And I thought, I think I need to be the guy. I've got experience. I've got time when my son's at school. I've got time when my son's away and I'm just like thinking about things at a jail, giant 12-hour shifts with very little other humans to talk to. But also a lot of people that need my help there, and the system screwed them over. I got to see the system. Dude, I got to see some kids that I used to be a youth worker for in the prison. It's broken. The whole system. Anyway, I'm trying to fix the thing I can fix. So, I guess that's why me, right? Like, I had all this time. I was fairly well off. So I quit the jail, and I've been focusing on this. How do I turn this into something that I can manage as a single person, getting one of these going? But then I wanted to make it bigger. And then I was like, things kept being too expensive. You know, like how do I need a big block of land, and then okay, I can shrink it down a little bit, and it's like, all right, well, how much stuff do I need? And then it's not that expensive to start one of these. How do I make it less expensive to run one of these? Which means I can make it cheaper for parents, because I want to get as many parents as possible. So now, I think I've figured out a way to open up a learning center for about $50,000. This is Australian dollars. It's about 35 American dollars. And it'll only cost about $1,000 for your child to, no, $10,000 for your child to attend for the year. For now. But I got a plan to make it free. Not just self-sustaining as in profit-wise, but self-sustaining as in it doesn't need outside influence. It doesn't need any parent to give it money anymore. And I reckon that one will be, it might be per center. As in, a center starts, it takes 5 years, and then from then, it's free for that center. Eventually, I think I'll get it to the point where even if I start or somebody starts a new one, that one will be free to start and for anybody to attend. There's still that's parts of step 5, right? But there's a plan. It's just a lot of it's going to be trial and error. Anyway, should I start with what the actual thing is going to be? Yeah. All right, let's do that. So what's the learning system? What is a learning center? So I have decided that everything that is done in these learning centers will be as open source as possible. Obviously, the kids will stay closed source. The staff will be working on their own projects, and they will be, this is my center and this is what I'm doing in my center. And that will be open for everybody. And, they'll take photos and upload it, kind of like what I'm doing. They'll upload it in whatever way is best for the material. And then everybody gets to share whatever happens, or whatever is created. So the idea behind that is, as it's a learning center, we don't want to teach things, because if we're teaching things, that implies that your child can't learn on their own. I can learn on my own. A baby learns how to walk and talk and address needs. And they taught themselves that. There was no way we would have been able to teach a baby any of that stuff. So the learning center, the staff of the learning center will model learning behaviors. I will be a learner when I'm at the center, and I will pick up this thing that I'm interested in, and I will tinker with something over here, and I will read a book that I want to learn about. And as one of the mentors, one of the visual learners, I will be reflecting, setting goals, tracking, and being cooperative. I think that's about it. If anybody asks me what I'm doing, I will share it. If anybody asks me for help, I will help them. But apart from that, I might cook a big meal for everybody, and that might be just something I feel like doing that day. Somebody else might feel like doing it the next day. That'd be nice if we could feed everybody every day. That'd be great. I reckon. So these things like that will be up to each individual learning center. So each of the learning centers will have a weekly meeting. It is voluntary. You don't have to be there, but it will be in the most obvious location and the most, I guess, busiest location. If it's the games room, it'll be in the games room. It'll interrupt most people without destroying any of their learning. And I think the games room's probably the best spot for it. That'll likely be the biggest room anyway. It's tied for me. Tied as the biggest one. So the meeting, everybody gets a vote. All the staff, the mentors, and each of the children who are I went with premium learners. So there's two different types of fees, but you got basic members and premium members. Now, I guess I'll pause for a little bit on the voting part, but the basic membership will give you 10 hours a week for the fortnight. So you get 20 hours for the fortnight, I guess. You can figure it out. And I'm open 7 days a week, 10 hours a day, or free path centers are open then. And so because they're open all the time, the people on the basic ones can just use it if your child gets suspended. You can use it if it's school holidays. You can use it if it's the weekend or your kid needs something else to do. And this will just be a way for them to sort of figure it out on their own. And then you have the premium membership. And so this one's for people who homeschool their kids. And or not even just them. I mean, if you want to use it more, you can. Part-time homeschooling is a thing in Australia, or at least some states. But if you homeschool your kid, you get to pick your schedule, right? And you just get 70-hour window to use. Now, currently kids go to school for 30 hours to get the mandatory 25 hours to be a full-time course. And so what's that, 25, you got 70 to pick from, and that's per week, so you've got 140. I think you can make a pretty solid timeline, and you get to pick it as the parent, right? You get the choice of when you go, when your kid learns, whatever suits your family's routine. Okay, so premium members, so the people who homeschool their kids and aren't just using it as like an extracurricular thing, they get a vote in the meeting. So the meeting, pick a day, it doesn't matter, it's up to each of the centers, they can pick their own day. But the meeting will have things like, what are the rules? Do we need to change the rules? It might be like disturbances or something like that, like something that's needs to be addressed. New learning materials is like, hey, this thing's expensive, but I think a lot of people will use it. Put your hand up, speak it, go for it. For each of the budgeted in, and it works for each of the premium members, 10% of that, so it's about $1,000 per year, gets put into the kitty of buying new stuff or improving their center. And the last thing, I think it's the last thing that kids get a vote on, and the staff as well, they get to choose who the staff are. So if there is anybody who's acting up or not being a very good, mentor, leader, whatever it is, it's like, hey man, like, you got to go. Sorry, man. 1 year contracts, and it can be cut at any time. So, the creepies are going to be weeded out pretty quick. The staff, like, you got to be good with kids to be able to get voted in, right? And you get a vote for the other staff members as well. And so, not every kid has to come, but it is strongly encouraged. The older ones, like, as long as there's 10 there, they can outweigh the adults, and that's actually a good thing. And, I could explain why, but that might be a much longer conversation. The reason why is way back in my Instagram posts. Anyway, where was I? Everybody gets a vote. Alright, I've talked about mentors. So the other thing that mentors do, so the reflection and things like that, one of the things that I want sort of not, like, I guess a little bit encouraged is, because I don't want to sort of force anything, but all the kids will have a notebook on them. Here's the one I prepared earlier. It was new notebook day about 4 days ago. So these hold about, if I do 2 days per page. Anyway, I'll get onto it. They last about 8 months worth of this. But on the front page, little cross, and it's basically this thing here. So daily, fortnightly, 6 monthly, and 5 yearly. So every morning or every time a kid turns up, there's the little pockets for all their notebooks. They pull their notebook out, they check their goals. Sweet, put it in my pocket, go about, do my day. So it's just like a refresher on these things that I've decided with my parents and the mentor on my first day. We talked about, we sort of like explained things, and I spent a lot of time thinking about those. So read them every day. That's it. That's all we're asking, right? And then the other thing that the mentors will model is at lunchtime, they'll open up their notebook and go, AM, this, and this. And just put dot point, a little, like, things that took more than an hour, whatever you did. And then when the kids go back home with their parents at dinner, it's encouraged, and it's up to the parents to sort of, run this part of the education scenario, is at dinner, write down PM, this, and this. And then you look back at your goals, you look back at your day, put a little star next to the ones that were either one of these, healthy habits that you want to keep up, or one of these goals that you want to achieve. I've got habits on there that I don't do, that's fine. I've got goals on there that I've been putting off because I've been focusing on another one. My backyard is not done. So the notebooks, I think, become this really nice reflection for them to go, was my day productive? Are there a lot of stars, or is it just the dashes? And you get to be there with them too, right? Just at the dinner table together whenever dinner suits you guys. But anyway, that's what the notebooks are all about. Graduating, right? This is a good one. So right now, we get a sheet of paper and a good luck. Nobody looks at that sheet of paper ever again. We also get a huge journey It was filled with stress and anxiety and tests and judgment and competition, and filled with things that don't actually interest us. So I don't care about science, man. I care about that part of science, and that part's good too. I like that. But the rest of it, yeah, whatever. I like maths. It's interesting, but I don't use much. I read and I write, so I'll learn those definitely. But the rest of it, I like PE, I like sports. So, you pick the things that you've like, the subjects, and we just sort of, I might reach for it, and we like kind of get slapped down. It's like, no, you got to come over here and have a look at this stuff. So this is all time that I'm trying to like reach these things. And if I reach up enough and grab enough of that intelligence, that knowledge that's out there, and I don't have to waste my time grasping at this nonsense that I'm never really going to remember, I lose all this time that could have been used towards mastery of the thing that I'm really passionate about. Imagine having all that time again. Damn, dude. So, the outcomes, I guess, is what we're after, right? I want the journey to be happy. I want people to have an idea of what their passion is. And I want them to be well on their way to mastery towards that thing. I think the world would be a lot better place if it had some of that. So, how do we kick these kids out of this learning system? How do we say, that's it, man, you're ready? We're not going to give them a piece of paper. We're going to let them tell us. They're going to say, bro, check this out. It'll be something like, finish my portfolio, man. And, whoever this mentor is, help me write all this stuff. I've been doing all these things throughout the last 5 years when I've, been down this track. And it's ready to hand into that uni that mentor knows the application person for. Or it'll be something like, dude, check this out. I love making stools. I don't know why, but check this stool out. I'm already selling them. That mentor helped me get a job while I wait for these other ones to sell. I'm a chippy now. He's got me an apprenticeship. I'm already year 3 because I've skipped all this nonsense. I'll still have to broom out the shed or whatever it is. But I want kids to know what their next steps are. And once they can tell a mentor and the parent and everybody agrees, dude, you're ready, let's go, you're done. They don't have to wait till the end of the year, but maybe we'll do a little celebration. It'll be nice. Alright, what else? Oh, okay. My pay, as in me personally. I want to pay myself when I work at one of the centres. I will work, and this sort of ricochets down, right? So in Australia, if somebody earns about 150k a year, I think that's like a really good wage. Or no, it's like probably like middle class. Most people, I was living comfortably, but still with worries, at about 90K when I quit. So I don't really want the worries anymore. So I'm thinking 150K is good, but in order to earn that money, I gotta work 70 hours a week. So I feel like I do that already. I'm not making any money at the moment, and so I'm not getting paid any money at the moment, but that's what I want to pay myself. And also, so that will sort of ricochet in terms of like the mentors. If they're there for 40 hours a week, then 150K divided by 70 hours times by 40 hours, that's how much they get paid. That's the model that I want in terms of payment to the mentors. And I think even though you're not getting a ridiculous amount, I do think you're getting a pretty sweet job. You just get to learn for at least a year, depending on behavior. And that's awesome. So my pay, 150 a year. I think that'll cover me. All right. I think I got like 2 more main things that I want to say in this one. One is a bit more of a breakdown on the 5 steps and where I am up to. I'll do where I'm up to. So on the 4th of July, so that was Saturday week, it's Sunday now. So 2 weeks and 1 day ago, I opened up, wait, what day is it? It's Sunday, right? Yeah, okay. Anyway, I opened up my learning center. I have been hitting hurdle after hurdle. The current hurdle is I'm a terrible business owner. I've got people supporting me, and they're coming next week on Monday to help me market this out so that I can get 100 signups. It was 100 members at my center. Once it's at 100 members, centers are free and clear. They're good to go. You can hire as many people as you need, and all the stuff is paid. I guess that's a part of the one of the other steps, and I'll get onto that. So where am I up to? I got a couple of members now signed up, but well, a couple of members that are coming, but they're, I guess, test cases. Like they're enjoying their time, and their parents are, you know, I guess, nice people, and I don't want to fuck them over. And yeah. So, marketing is an issue, but apart from that, should be able to do it. I got 3 months free on the rent, so I don't have expenses, but I do need a pool table, and I need to finish up the recording room. So the recording room is like the big item that's, well, not a big item, but it's going to be a big thing that not many places have. And where else can a kid just sort of walk in and go, I'm going to record myself playing that instrument and, you know, see if I can mix it into or whatever. And a pool table. I need a pool table. I think with those 2 things, then I'll like really market it. I guess I didn't have to give you the update because that's what the other place is for, but whatever. Anyway, there's a little snippet of what those 3-minute videos are going to be like. Where am I up to? Oh, the 5-step plan. Okay. So, 5 steps. Let's do it in a bit more detail. Step 1, start a learning system. I just sort of explained the broad strokes broad strokes on the learning system. Things like the mentors will have its own separate podcast where I'll like, these are the different types of mentors. I'll have another one on like what the facilities are going to be, like what they're going to have. I probably don't need to do a whole one. That could mix with the other one. It's going to be another podcast on, I've got it in my list somewhere. Oh, the culture. Like, what's the culture going to be like? Anyway, 5-step plan. Step 2, make it self-sustaining. So I managed to start a learning center. Once I hit 100, that's when I can make it self-sustaining individually while getting paid. And then there's another part to that one. So the other part is make it self-sustaining enough so that it doesn't need to get paid by the parents. And there is a plan to do that. I think that can sit with step 5 for now. So self-sustaining, self-replicating. Now, built into the culture is going to be when a center reaches 250 members, that center is actually making more money than it needs to sustain itself and buy all the new stuff and repair itself and pay all the other expenses. And it's still got a bit of a kitty going on. So that each year, that center gets to choose where it opens up another center. And then that center will get to choose each year to open up another center. And then each year, and then it just explodes. So that is step 3. So I gotta get it to 100 members first, then to 250 members. So self-sustaining, self-replicating. However, that's not fast enough to change the education system in 3 more years. So what I need to do is have a way to get as many people as possible saying, yes, that is what I want. I want one right here. And if there is 50,000 of those people saying right here, some of them are going to overlap, or at least some of them can share a space in between them. And then once they have like 50 people there, they can start one pretty easily because they've already got way ahead of where I am. So the way I want to do this is I was going to wait until Instagram hit 10,000 followers because then I can just throw it up on that and do the subscription whatever where you give some monthly fees. But I set up a school thing ages ago, as in SKOOL, it's Alex Hormozi thing. But it's a way for me to deliver content, but also written content, not just Instagram content. And it has a location thing as well. So when you sign up to that, you can change your location and you put a little dot where you want your center. So the fees I put on for that is $10 American. If you just want to, I believe in the cause, go for it, please make one. And $35 American for the I want one, and this is where I want it part. So 35 American because it makes it $50-ish Australian. And then when I get 500 people giving me $50,000, $50 a month, in 2 months' time, I have $50,000. $50,000 is enough to get one of these things going. So out of those 500 people that sign up and say, yeah, I want one, they say, like, we go, sweet, right? 2 months time, we got enough. Where is the biggest collection of people and how do we help them get one of these going? And then we just help them with the money that's in the thing. Everything I get paid into that account, I will be transparent with. It'll all be used for that. I might use some of it now to finish my one, so I'm not so stressed out. But once it's going, then I'll just be earning fees, like my work fees for being a mentor. If I need to like travel, I will travel, and I'll help you to get one of these things going. What else? Yeah. I mean, this is scalable as well, right? So if there's 50,000 people sign up tomorrow, then we're now getting, fuck the math. We can open up 100 of these things. Anyway, that's step 4. But I can also do step 4 right now. And it might help me do step 2 and 3. Anyway, I hope you like my plan. I'm going to do it whether you go to the school thing or not. But if you do want to help, if you do want to join that thing, there's no instructions on there yet because I set it up ages ago. I just thought of it right before I did this. So I just double checked it and made sure I was still getting paid and everything. So that still works. But also, I'm just going to do it so you don't have to give me any money. And I will update you on Instagram. And eventually once I do the recording room, then I'll do the other ones where it's like, this is what a mentor is and all the different roles for mentors and all the different mentor extra parts. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. Cool. Anyway, I finally have something to reference people to. Sorry it's so disjointed, but you get what you paid for.